Hi guys, you are welcome to my new video, and today in this video you will learn about the grid layout in CSS. Now let's start this project folder grid. Let me open this folder and I have one index.html file and one CSS file. Let me open this file with my text editor. So this is the HTML file. I have basic HTML structures and this one is CSS file. I have added margin padding. Let's come back on the HTML file. I have connected the CSS file using this link tag. Next come to the body tag, and here first create one div with the class name hero, and here let me add one more div. I will add the class name box1, and in this div we will add one text. So I am using h1 tag, h1, and the text is item 1. Now we will duplicate this one, so just copy this box1, simply duplicate this 4 times. I will duplicate it and I will change it to class name 2, 3, 4. So box 2, 3 and 4. So item also 2, 3 and 4. After adding this, open the HTML file with your browser. So save the changes and let's come back, and let me open this index.html file with your browser. You can see this text on the web page. Now just come back and we will come to the CSS file. Just copy the class name box1 and come to the CSS file, and here we will add the class name box1. For this box1, let's add one background color. So background, this color code. For every div we will add background. So now duplicate everything 4 times and change class name box 2 and 3, 4. Similarly we will add the color also, so for all 4 divs. So let's add the color for the box 2. After adding this, just copy the class name hero, then come back to the CSS file and paste it into the CSS file and the div. So just paste it here and let's type div, because we will contribute the div. For this div, all the divs, let's add one padding 30 pixels. Now let's add one color for this text. So let's add h1. For this h1, let's add color white. So for all the divs we will add the padding 30 pixel, and I have added title here h1. For this one, color is white. Save the changes. Now let's come back on the HTML file. Let's refresh the web page, and now you can see now it is looking like this. Next we will see the grid properties. So just come back on the CSS file, copy the class name hero. Here for this one, let's add one display. Display is grid, and after that we will write grid template rows. So this grid template rows, let's add auto 4 times. After adding this, save the changes and refresh the web page, and you can see there is no changes. I will change it to, let's come back, and here let's change it to 200 pixel, and after that save the changes and let's refresh the web page. You can see it is coming like this. It will use 200 pixel for height. You can see here it will use 200 pixel for height, and let's come back and I will change it to, let's see another example. So here let's add 150 pixel and 150, 250 and 150. Save the changes. So you can see it is coming on the same order. First 2 divs, the item 1 and item 2 is 150 pixel, and the last one is 150 pixel, and the third one is 250 pixel. Now just come back. Instead of this rows, I will write columns. Then here let's add auto, Save the changes and let's refresh the web page. So in this 4 divs comes in the single row. There is 4 different columns. Now if I change the screen size, so let me change the screen size. If I change the screen size, you can see it is responsive. Now just come back. If I will change it to the value like this, so 150 pixel, 150 pixel, 150 pixel, 250 pixel and 150 pixel, and save the changes and again refresh the web page, you can see it is fixed size, extra space is blank here. So let's come back and again change it to grid template columns, 250 pixel, 200, 200, 250 and the last one is 200. Save the changes. Now let's come back, refresh the web page. First and second div is 200 pixel and these things are 200 pixel and the last div also 200 and the third item is 250 pixel, but rest space is right now, but rest space is empty right now. So just come back here, 200 pixel and the last one is, let me change it to 1 fraction. After adding this, last div is using the entire space. You can see the last div is using entire space. Let's come back. I will add auto. So let's add the last one is auto. Instead of 1 fraction, let's add auto. Save the changes and let's refresh the web page. So it will also do the same thing. After reloading the web page, you can see no changes. So let's come back. I will again change it as 1 fraction and in the third one 2 fractions. So let's add here in this 250 pixel, let's add 2 fraction and this one is 1 fraction. That's it. Save the changes. After reloading this, you can see the first and second do. This first and second div is 200 pixel and the rest of space divided in 3 parts, and the item 4 is the 1 part and item 3 is using 2 parts. Let's change the screen size. You can see these items are responsive. You can see these items are responsive, but the first 2 div is fixed 200 pixel. And let's come back on the CSS file and here let me remove this one. Let's write repeat. So repeat 4 comma auto. So it will create 4 columns. So the column width will be auto. Let's refresh the web page and you can see, if I refresh the page, you can see equal width for all the columns. Now let's come back. If I change it to 200 pixel, here you can see all the column width is 200 pixel. Set the changes. You can see all the 4 columns are coming 1 row because we have added 4. Let's come back and change it to 3. Save the changes. Now let's refresh the web page and you can see 3 columns in the 1 row and the other div going into the second row. Let's come back, change into 4 comma min max 300 pixel comma 1 fraction. Now save the changes and let's refresh the web page. You can see it will use the entire space, but if I will reduce the size, it will not go less than 300 pixel. So you can see it's not going less than 300 pixel. Now let's come back. If I change it to 200 pixel and refresh the site, if I see, it will not go 200 pixel. Here it is stopped. It's not going greater than 200 pixel. So we have to make it flexible. So let's come back. The minimum maximum value 200 pixel and the 1 fraction. In this, instead of auto, let's add auto fit. That's it. Save the changes and let's refresh the web page. It will go up to 200 pixel. After that, it will shift to the column. You can see it is shift to the column in the row. So you can see it is perfectly responsive right now. Now let's come back to the HTML file and make it as 8 boxes. So simply copy this box 4, 7 and 8. Make it as 5, 7 and 8. change the item also, so 5, and this one is 7. Now copy the class name box 5, come back to the CSS file and come to the top. Here let's add one comma and add the box 5. So the box 1 box 5 color is same, so this is how we have added the color for the news box. So here also let's add comma dot box 6, simply make it as 7, and this one is 8. Now let's refresh the web page and you can see total 8 items. And if I change the screen size, you can see changing the layout like this. Let's come back on the CSS file and let's make it as grid template columns auto. So 4 times. So only 4 columns in the one row. Let's refresh the web page and you can see only 4 columns in the row. You can see it is like this. Now let's add space within these columns. Let's add these columns. So for that, let's come back and let's add grid gap. So come to the hero and here grid display is grid and grid gap is 10 pixel, and we have written grid gap 10 pixel and value also 10 pixel. Now you can see, let's refresh the web page and you can see 10 pixel space between these columns, 10 pixel space, and it is also responsive. Now let's come back, let's copy the class name box 1. So box 1. So in this box 1, let's add grid area. So in this grid area, we will add 4 values. So the first, let me add value. I will tell you what it is. So in this grid area, starting position is column, starting position the row, the starting position of column, then we will write the end of row and end of column. So I have combined the value. So row start, the first one is row start and the second one is column start, and the third one is row end, and the fourth one is column end. So this is the value, this is the command for this value. Save the changes and let's refresh the web page. So if I refresh the page, you can see we have added the grid area in the item 1. In the item 1, and the item 1 is starting from the second row and the first column, second row and the first column, and it ends at 2 row and 3 columns. It is the 3 columns and this one is 2 columns that we have written in CSS. Let's come back. We will change the value and we will see the another example. So I will add different value here. So grid area 1, and instead of 1 let's add 2, and span 2 and span 3. Save the changes and let's refresh the web page. So the row start will be 1 and the column start will be 2, the end column will be 2 and the row will be 2. Item 1 is starting from the second and column and first row, and end point is 2. Let's come back. Let me remove the grid template columns, this one and this one also, and the grid area. Let's type grid auto column. So grid auto columns, grid auto columns is 200 pixel. If I write like this and refresh your website, you can see the each column width is 200 pixel and it is coming vertically. Now instead of column, write rows. Let's come back. Now you can see the height is 200 pixel and the width is 100% and it is coming vertically. So I have one mistake. Let's change it to the columns. And after adding this, let's refresh your web page and you can see it is coming like this. If I write like this and refresh your website, and you can see the each column with this 200 pixel and it is coming vertically. Let's come back, and now instead of rows I have added flow. Let's add type flow. So the flow is row. You will see all the divs vertically, and if I write column, now you can see horizontally. So let's change the column. So you can see it is as a horizontally. Let's come back, and here in the box 1 let's add grid area. So grid area is, let's type one name. We will use the name my area. You can type any name, and in this hero I have written display grid gap 10 pixel, grid template. Let's type grid template areas. Grid template areas. Let's use this name my area. Here I have added two grid because I have added the grid area name in the box 1. So in the template we have written 2 times. That's why it is using 2 spaces. Let's refresh your web page. Now you can see the value cells. So add the dot here. Save the changes and let's refresh your web page. You can see the item 1. The item 1 width is around 2 items. Let's come back. Let's add another class name dot box 2. So box 2, for this box 2 let's add grid area. Grid area is my area 2.